Let's bring in Imran Ansari, trial attorney and legal analyst, to explain a bit more about what we could learn today. Imran, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Break down exactly what these two hearings are and what is being argued in front of the judge today.
Yeah, the two hearings, one open and one sealed, will be really to get Bryan Kohberger's defense team with their arguments before this judge. The first hearing, the sealed one, will be looking for reconsideration of their motion to dismiss. Now, the judge denied their motions to dismiss previously. This will be asking the judge to reconsider it, and that would be attacking the grand jury presentation. They're saying there was prosecutorial misconduct. Some of the evidence that was admitted to the grand jury was inadmissible. And they're also seeking to unseal their motion papers so the public can have access to those motion papers. They are saying the public has a right to see it. Right now, it's sealed because the judge feels that the grand jury proceedings should be protected. And right now it's sealed, but they're looking to have that made public.
And is that common to keep a hearing like this, especially in a case that the world is watching, hush-hush? Does this happen more often than we think it does?
It happens particularly because there's so much publicity around this case. I think the judge is looking at this case, realizing that the public is so interested, and there is a potential that Bryan Kohberger could be prejudiced by all that publicity. And I think we had that seen in his ruling about the camera and the way the camera footage would be played out live in the courtroom. But it is typical when the judge is having considerations as to the privacy concerns and also the sanctity, if you will, of the proceedings.
And talk about, what kind of impact public interest does have in a case like this, and what kind of impact it has on this judge. I mean, the country's following the story. People are rallying, around justice for these slain students as well as their families, this campus. How much does a judge take that into consideration when heading into these hearings and making decisions?
So the public has a right to access to a proceeding like this, a trial, and typically proceedings going on in court. So the judge has to keep that into consideration as part of our justice system, of course. But he also has to consider that he needs to run his courtroom and make sure that the proceedings, the trial, and the hearings before him are not tainted by all that publicity. I think he's having that consideration in mind here. Of course, we're going to see an open hearing today also. And in that open hearing, we're going to be able to see that camera, that YouTube stream from the judge's YouTube channel, where they're going to discuss scheduling, the trial date, and of course some other issues that the judge now feels that the public can see and view.
Yeah, and I think ahead of a couple different hearings today, when you talk about the potential of dismissing charges, or that's what Kohberger's team at least is asking for, I think it makes a lot of people nervous. I mean, realistically, Imran, what's the likelihood that this case gets thrown out on the grounds that Kohberger's team says that they stand on?
If they're able to show that there was some sort of improper evidence that was put before this grand jury, that the proceedings in the grand jury were not followed, and Bryan Kohberger's rights were not considered, and the prosecutorial misconduct, they're going to be able to attack that indictment and maybe get it kicked. But does that mean that the case gets dismissed altogether? Not necessarily. If they're able to succeed on that, the prosecution would likely be able to go in and represent to the grand jury this case. But a motion to dismiss in this sort of case is something that is going to be hard to win for the defense. I think that the evidence that we do know against Bryan Kohberger with these allegations right now seems to be relatively strong, but we have to wait and see, of course, what the judge rules.
And my last question to you before I let you go, for the hearing that is hush-hush today and kept under lock and key, when will the public find out what went down in that hearing?
One motion before the judge from the defense in that sealed hearing is, of course, to unseal those proceedings related to the grand jury presentations and their motions to dismiss. So now if the judge decides that he wants to unseal that, the public will be able to view the motion papers and also likely the transcripts from those arguments.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for clarifying. Imran Ansari, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.